RCTP, Level 3 Mental Part 3. This picture is of Mike mantling outdoors. You might not have experienced this type of mantle before unless your gym has a top-out section on a boulder route. So the first time you do this, you might be a little nervous, and Mike was actually nervous to do these types of mantles at the beginning, so what he ended up doing was belly flopping and kind of like slowly nudging and rolling his way on top of the rock here. But you know what? He made it up, so kudos to him. Step 7. So now we're on lead, guys. Don't on-site everything. This is a key thing for you guys. So inside, climb the route first on top rope. Maybe you want to practice that air clip or phantom clipping, but then repeat it and lead the route. Okay, so this is kind of important because then now you already know that you can climb the route, you know you've already done it, and sometimes you're like, well, I know I can, send the route, but I don't know if I can clip it and send the route, so hence that's why to practice air clipping. If you're outside, have someone better than you set up a top rope. And normally this person who goes up first and is the strongest among your group, that term is called a rope gunner. They're the person who always puts up the rope. And what you can do is, climb up this top rope that person set up for you, and then pull that rope and then repeat it on lead. Here is Renee climbing an 11A or B on top rope. So what we did for this route was that about 6 anchors down, I climbed up a route that was like a 10B, 10C, and I made it to the top, and then there was this giant ledge with all the anchors on them. So I decided to traverse over, 6 anchors, and then I set up a top rope on the 6th anchor, which happened to be this 11AB route. And then we decided to, after I came down, we decided to then top rope this route first and then go back and try it on lead. Step 8 is to climb a route you enjoy. So it can be hard to climb a route that you don't really enjoy climbing. An example of this would be climbing slab. I really don't like climbing slab, so me leading that route isn't really a pleasurable experience. I'll do it because I want to just maybe climb it or just push myself a bit, or if I'm on a multi-pitch and there just happens to be a slab section, I just know I have to make it through it. But I would much rather be on decline routes and having fun, and when I'm on the decline routes, I don't even notice that I'm leading sometimes. I just have fun and just make them next moves. So these 2 steps are accepting that a fall will happen at some point. So step 9 is to accept your belayer's style and weight and experience it. All right, so I have a climber who's a lot heavier than me, and he decides to keep me tight all the time. And I come down and I say, hey, you can keep me a little bit looser, but no matter how many times I'll tell him this, he always is super attentive and keeps me a little bit tighter than I would like. And that's his style, and I just have to accept it. That's what he's going to do. Every time he belays me, I know that I'm going to have a little bit of, struggle pulling the rope up because he's keeping me really tight. Whereas I also have lighter climbers who don't have any fear of heights or falling, and they keep the rope very loose. They I'll come down and I'll say hey guys, I don't need to have that much slack. You can keep it a little bit tighter. And, they might listen for at the very beginning of a climb, but then by the midway point, they're back to their ways again and they're keeping me fairly loose. So no matter what, you kind of have to accept your belayer style. You can influence it a little bit, but you're just going to have to experience it and, fall. Step 10, fear of falling a long distance. So as long as you're not going to hit the ground, accept that the distance you fall is out of your control. To make you feel comfortable that you're not going to hit anything when you fall, and to practice falling a long distance, climb an overhanging route, make it to your 4th or 5th bolt like I'm doing here, and just take a fall. That's it. It might be a little nerve-wracking at first, but more than likely in your lead course, they made you take a fall. So this one, I don't really go up that high. I just make sure that my pelvis is at the height of the clip, and I just let go. It's really not that daunting. Now, here I fell 2 clips, and I'm not that high off the ground, but my belayer probably is half my body weight, so she shot up, and it's Renee, and I fell down. Step 11, feeling like your belayer isn't paying attention to you and won't catch you. So this happens often with seasoned climbers who have belayed many times and they have caught many lead falls. these types of people be like, yeah, don't worry, man, I got you. Like, you don't need to be concerned at all. Like, I always have you. So what I do with these people is like the first climb of the day at the fourth, fifth, or sixth bolt, whatever. After clipping it, I climb up a little bit and then I just fall. And this normally catches them off guard because I'm like climbing a 10A or 10B and they know I can climb that very easily. So they kind of, just start talking to the person beside them, kind of keep me fairly loose. And when I fall, they look up and I maybe should have only like fallen about like 1 bolt, maybe 1.5 bolt for the height I was at. But I could almost like go down to the, second or third last bolt. So, I fell like about 4 bolts and just a lot more than I should have been falling. And they kind of go, whoops, I guess I wasn't really paying attention to you and I guess I kept you too loose. They won't say that out loud, but you can just instantly recognize that in their face. And then you kind of have this, conversation where you're like, are you sure you're paying attention to me? And they're like, yeah, okay, I'll start paying attention to you. So that will help you do that. I know that can be a little daunting. The other thing that you can do is you can ask your belayer to use an auto-locking device. The main reason for that is that some people do get fairly distracted, and I want you to take this seriously, that you talk to them about, maybe not always using an ATC and use an auto-locking device. So Trevor was climbing this route. He's on lead right now, and he was wondering if Mike was paying attention to him. Now, this route was about like 32, 33, 35 meters, I don't know, something like that. And what he decided to do was at the 30th meter mark, somewhere around there, he decided just not to give any warning and just like to let go and fall. Now, Mike was kind of thinking, this is an easy climb for Trevor, so, there's no reason why he's going to need like anything, because Trevor's one of those types of people who will never yell take unless he like absolutely needs to. And even on top of that, he'll probably just take a fall. So Mike was not at all concerned, and he just thought Trevor would make it up the route like no problems. And so what ended up happening is Trevor fell, and Mike's like looking down at the rope, and he's like, the rope's like hurtling through my hand really fast now. That's kind of new. I don't know what's going on. And then it phased on him. He's like, oh shit, Trevor's falling. So he then decided to like actually catch him. And at this point, Trevor fell about 20 meters, 25 meters. So he almost did a ground fall from 30 meters up. And what ended up happening is that they kind of swore at each other a bit, and then they didn't talk to each other for the rest of the trip. But this was one where I get how Trevor was trying to make a point to Mike, because he's like, I'm just going to fall and see if Mike will catch him. But that was pretty dangerous, because if Mike didn't catch him, like Trevor could have either severely injured himself or potentially died that day. So, that's why you ask your belayer sometimes, if you know they're a person who might not be paying attention, just get them to use an auto-locking device like a Grigori. Outdoors, worried about hitting the ground at the first bolt? Okay, don't be cheap, guys. Buy a stick clip. Use it. Here's what a stick clip looks like. So the one all the way over here on the left is actually one where you get like a painter's pole, and it can be extendable, and then you put a draw on it. Here you can see you can sometimes buy these little adapters that will hold a clip. You can find them either on Amazon, or sometimes some climbing gear shops will have it. If you don't really know what you're looking for, just ask somebody who's at an outdoor climbing gear shop, and they'll probably point you in the right direction. This is how you actually like put it in. So you see how one end has the rope coming through it and the other one's clipping into this bolt. And then if you are wondering where the term comes from, well, here's Trevor on the right actually using a stick to clip this, and we use tape to actually hold open the draw and put it through that first bolt just to clip it. Now, some climbing areas, they're going to put a really high first bolt. The Red River Gorge is known for this because they expect you to bring a stick clip and clip your first bolt. They don't want to put them a little bit lower, because actually having a low first clip first bolt is actually more dangerous than having a high first bolt.